Hello everyone, it's me, James G, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and we're going to be taking a look at Master P and No Limit Records. Now, Master P was the founder of No Limit Records, which was a record label based in the Dirty South in America, and they produced a lot of rap records during the late 90s in particular. They did it all through the early noughties and the mid 90s as well. But they're at their biggest, they're at their peak, production and sales-wise, in the late 90s. For example, in 1998 alone, Master P produced 23 albums that went out. In 1998 alone, 23 albums came out on this label. Now, as you can imagine, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were all great albums. In fact, a lot of them were pretty bad. I've had the unfortunate experience of listening to a few of those, and trust me, no, a lot of them are pretty bad. The albums were notoriously known for two things. One was some of the beats were pretty, they sound like budget beats basically, because their in-house producers weren't always the best. Although that's not to say they were all bad, you know. But the other thing they were notorious for were their album covers. Now, not all of these album covers I'm going to show you are made by this company, but a lot of them were made by a company called Pen and Pixel, which is notorious back in the 90s for their garish, awful album cover artwork. As you can see right now, what's his name? Big Bear. This wasn't a No Limit album, by the way, but this is an example of one of their works. Big Bear doing things, which, as you can see, because his name is Big Bear, they put bears in the picture, smoking cigars and stuff. Two things you'll notice: they really like being literal with animal names. If any rapper has an animal name, and also they like putting cigars just about anywhere they can. It's a common theme you will see throughout. But not all of these, I should know, are made by this company, but a lot of them will be. And the one we're going to start off with, because, you know, this is one of my favorite of these covers, and it perfectly shows, you know, the garish designs, these awful designs that these guys used to make. And this is an album from 1998, the year that they put out a shit ton of albums on No Limit. This was Snoop Dogg's debut album on the label, which was not a good album, and as you can see, the front cover is mental. I mean, his name is written in gold font with blue diamonds in it, which is, I mean, it's pretty tacky, but then you see below that there's Snoop World, which you would actually think is the name of the album because it stands out a lot better than the writing at the bottom, which says the actual name of the album, which is The Game Is to Be Sold, Not to Be Told. A pretty clunky title, but not as clunky as the font it's written in. I mean, look at that shit. I mean, it looks like somebody messing around with Microsoft Publisher. In fact, it looks worse than Microsoft Publisher. At least you can read the fucking writing. That's so awkward to read. And then you have his house in the background, which is Snoop World, which looks like they've taken 3 different stock images of different houses or temples and shit and just photoshopped them all together. And because, like I said, his name's Snoop Dogg, they've got 2 dogs. 2 dogs on the front cover, which have this weird kind of weird bondage muzzle on one of their faces. But yeah, those dogs look pretty miserable. Snoop's not looking too happy either, but I mean, I don't know why. I mean, he's got that gold wrist chain. He's got a gold tie on by the looks of it as well, and he's got that really nice, not tacky little gold cane. And because they don't want to leave any space blank, there's also a gold helicopter up in the top right corner, because they thought there was a bit too much, you know, empty space up there. But yeah, pretty terrible cover. But then the second Snoop Dogg album that he did on the label was a bit better. It was a bit of a better album, I'm not gonna lie. I might review these in the future. The second album he did on the label was No Limit Top Dog. And as you can see, Snoop Dogg's about as ashamed of this front cover as anyone who buys the album should be. Not saying it's a bad album, it's actually a pretty decent album, like I just said, but look at this album cover. I mean, Snoop looks like he wants to kill himself because of how embarrassed he is of this artwork. They're in a car, you know, convertible of some sort, and yeah, because his name's Snoop Dogg, look, they got 3 dogs in the car with him. And I think the Snoop Dogg font looks a bit bit nicer this time, a bit dangerous, you know what I'm saying? And for some reason, they do this on a lot of these No Limit albums, is they feel the need to put everybody who's featured on the album on the front, like a movie poster. There's no need to do that, and it really clogs up the front cover with all this text. But, to be fair, this is definitely a better album cover than The Game Is To Be Sold, Not To Be Told. And it's also a much better album. Now we have one by a rapper called Soulja Slim, and this album's called Give It To 'Em Raw. And, fuck me. Look at this guy. Oh my god. I mean, first, he looks solid as motherfucker. But, I mean, it's like the most amazing action movie happening on this album cover. You've got, you know, fighter jets coming in at all sides, rockets blowing shit up, explosions coming out of nowhere. You've got a tank, some random army soldiers on the front for no particular reason. And once again, because you don't want any blank space, you've got people parachuting in the background. I'm guessing the flames represent the fire that this album... I haven't listened to this album, if I'm perfectly honest, but yeah, it's representing the fire that this album brings. Now, the chain that they're actually wearing in this, I believe is the same chain a lot of them wear. It's the No Limit logo, and they all wear it as a chain because they're all No Limit soldiers. And the soldier theme is actually quite a common theme of these albums, although Snoop Dogg generally avoided it. There's a lot of, a lot of them dress up in like camouflage and shit in their album covers. As you can see, this one, it shows every motherfucker who features on the album, as did the last one. Again, making it look like a movie poster, but this one really does look like a movie poster. The worst movie I could possibly see. I mean, Soulja Slim looks like the villain in the movie, just like observing all this chaos. And, yeah, pretty mental front cover. Now, this next one is cringe. Like, this next one is 100% cringe, guys, because this is Lil Soldier's Boot Camp. Now, this was when there was an unhealthy growing trend towards the end of the 90s and the beginning of the noughties, where you'd have child rappers, which are not good. Getting children a rap is a mistake. Let me tell you why. Children don't have enough experience to have things worth rapping about at the age of 10 or 12. And second off, their voices just don't sound right. And third, they have to be all cutesy and shit because, there's moral implications apparently to getting them to swear and that. So they got to rap about cute shit, and it's really not appealing at all. And on the note of that kind of cutesy crap, look at this front cover. It's got loads of like Lil Soulja branded toys everywhere, and then just some random stock images of dinosaurs and toy cars. But these kids ain't having none of that because they're No Limit soldiers, dressed up in their khakis once again, dressed up in the khakis because they're No Limit soldiers. They're not got the chains on though. Yeah, if you notice, there's a guy's hand which is giant, seems to be protruding out of his stomach, and he has no arm attached to it. But also, if you notice, the kid on the right, and this is pretty bad, he has a leg growing out of his right arm. So these little soldiers, they could not really go to war because they are dangerously mutilated, and I feel sorry for them, frankly. But I mean, let's just drop the sarcasm for a second. This album art is the biggest mess I've seen in terms of a Photoshop job. I mean, he's got feet coming out his arms, he's got an arm coming out his neck. I mean, what the fuck were they thinking here, guys? I really don't know. Next one we have is Full Blooded, with his album Memorial Day, another guy I've never heard of, sporting the No Limit chain and some fucking army gear for no reason. Well, half of his army gear. He's got an army rucksack and an army hat. That's it. And look, he's digging up graves. What a disrespectful guy. I mean, he's got American flag in the background, and he's digging up graves at the same time. It's like, his hands are fucking massive as well. I mean, they have to be to dig up graves, to be fair. But I mean, I'm not quite sure what he's achieving here. I guess it's because it's called Memorial Day, and remembering the dead and that, and he's digging them up. But another one with the album. This one's not too bad, to be fair. It's pretty garish. But I mean, the effect's much better. The effect with them digging up graves. They do like, I must not say, they do like putting big hands and big feet on these album covers. So I have a feeling that Pen and Pixel, the guy at Pen and Pixel, has a hand and foot fetish. Especially the foot thing, because he does like having them sat on chairs, like on thrones of sorts with their feet up in your face. It's a bit weird. But finally, we have one more album to look at, and this album sold 1 million copies. This album sold 1 million copies. Bear that in mind when you look at this album cover, guys. And this is an album from Master P himself, and that album is Ice Cream Man, or depending on how you look at it, Master P the album, because that's what it says up at the top, but then further down it says Ice Cream Man. So whichever one you want to pick, feel free to decide what you want to call the album. But what I hate about this cover, and I can't believe an album with a cover this bad sold 1 million copies, but it looks like a phone picture. You know, when a dumbass motherfucker takes a picture this way up, it looks like they've done that, but they haven't, because the image is squashed. It's quite obviously squashed. So they had the album cover and they thought, nah, it doesn't look shit enough, so we're gonna squash it, and then we're going to put a generic stock image of I'm not quite sure what at the sides to fill in the rest of it, and make the font, the text harder to read, because you know it's got all the list of all the features on the album to the side. It doesn't take up quite as much room as on the Snoop Dogg album or on the Soulja Slim album. Master P's looking pretty happy with his drink in his hand, which actually looks like Quaker Oats, but I'm not quite sure. We've got not one but two pictures of Master P on here wearing the same outfit, not sporting a No Limit chain. I must say I am disappointed, seeing as you are the leader, you should lead by example. But he's looking pretty happy with himself. So, I mean, the album must be pretty good. I've not listened to this one myself. And there's just some gold rims in the background, you know, his car. And then that generic image, which I have no idea what it is. But why did they squash it? It would have been a tacky No Limit album cover if it was just the normal ratio. But now it looks particularly shit because it's squashed. And then they put this, I don't know what the fuck at the sides. Awful album cover. I don't know what he was thinking with this one. But yeah, those were No Limit album covers. And I should be fair in pointing out that there are a few album covers that they put out that aren't too bad. For instance, I quite like the one they did for Mystical's album, Unpredictable. He's got like jigsaw pieces on his face and stuff, and you know, that one's, I like the style of that one, even though the font for Mystical's a bit shit. And I also quite like the one for Snoop Dogg's last album that he did on the label No Limit, which was The Last Meal, which is actually an album I really enjoy. That album has, like, they tried to sort of recapture the Doggy style artwork. It's not as good as the Doggy style artwork, but yeah, it's definitely better than the other two album covers on No Limit. But yeah, guys, that was this week's video. I'll have a review up next week probably. And yeah, this was the worst album covers I have seen. Pen and Pixel, I don't know if they still exist. You can always check on Wikipedia or something. But if they do, I would quite like to get my first mixtapes album art done by them. It would be pretty dank. But if they're not, then that's a real shame, I guess. I mean, I haven't seen any of their work lately. Maybe they've improved. Maybe I have seen their work and I just don't recognize it because they have improved. But yeah, that was Pen and Pixel's No Limit album work, and also just some of the shit No Limit album work in general. Some pretty interesting artwork, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider leaving a like. If you didn't, then don't. If you want to go check out my Patreon, it is in the description below, and I really would appreciate it, because you know, G's got to eat. And if you wanna just support the video in other ways, you can like and share it on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all these wonderful places. But thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next week, or maybe sooner. See you guys.